Don't have a fantasy of another child. This is who you have. They're wonderful kids. They're clever. You can't say to a blind child, didn't you see it? You can't say to a hearing impaired child, they told you. Well, you have an ADHD child or an ADD child.
Your kid is smart and you know it, they know it, but their grades aren't showing it. And nothing you've tried is working.
And the problem with the ADHD kids is punitive usually. The parents are grounding, they're punishing. It's so unfair. How do you get the kid who procrastinates to sit down and do the work? What do you do?
Dr. Linda Silbert is on the show today. And in this conversation, she walks us through what she calls the 3 shuns every ADHD child battles. We also get into the difference between ADHD, high anxiety, and auditory processing disorder. This is Quick Wins for ADHD Moms. Well, Dr. Linda, we're so excited to have you here on Quick Wins for ADHD Moms.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me.
Yes, I'm excited to introduce you and hear your story. But we always start off the show with a quick win for ADHD moms. So is there like a tip or trick or a habit that working with ADHD for so many years that really pops out in your mind as something that would be really game-changing or helpful?
I would love to answer that. Okay. For people listening, my son has ADHD and he's already, he's already in his 50s. Okay. So I was back before they even invented the title ADHD. And he would come home with the book. He didn't have the assignment. Had the assignment. He couldn't find the book. Okay. That was just, one time walked in, couldn't find the sweatshirt. We found the end of the year. Just always something. There was always something. Homework, a disaster. Okay. I'm also a therapist. I have a Ph.D. in educational counseling, and I specialize in dyslexia. So I have been with those poor kids who have a double whammy, dyslexia and ADHD. All ADHD kids do not have dyslexia, but most dyslexic kids, for some reason, and dyscalculia and dysgraphia, they seem to have ADHD with it. And it's a double whammy. It is so tough. So my tip to moms from both sides of the desk here, don't have a fantasy of another child. This is who you have. They're wonderful kids. They're clever. Every so often you just feel like, I'm going to go crazy because they want what they want when they want it. And they suffer from the 3 shuns. I talk about it, and I'll talk about it today in my book, Why Good Kids Get Bad Grades. The 3 shuns, they suffer from a motivation, lack of, especially for school, not what they want to do. If
they're interested in it, they're all about it.
All about micro-focus. They micro-focus. That's it. Okay, homework is usually not the thing. Okay, so it's that, how do you get them motivated to get through school? I mean, it's like when my son graduated college, I said to my husband, hold me back because I'm going to run up on the stage and hug everybody. It's over. It's over. We did it.
Thank you.
Yes,
Here you go. Now you can go out into the world.
Oh my God. We did it. Okay.
Yeah.
That motivation, disorganization. Okay. And that's with time. Also, time management is just as disorganized as all the clothes on the floor in their room. You say, what are you going to wear today? You go to the mess on the floor and you pick something. Okay. That's the second shun. And the third is procrastination. Oh yeah, I'm going to do my homework. I got to watch this show. I just have to, I'm running to the back. No, I'm about to take a shower. There's always something, and the procrastination. So I've specialized in these kids. How do you get the kid who procrastinates to sit down and do the work? What do you do? Okay. So I have been here over 50 years working one-to-one with all these kids with dyslexia or without dyslexia, ADHD, and then also on the other side of the desk. Okay, so I know what it's like teaching and then working with the schools and dealing with everything. And here was before they even invented so-called the word. I remember a psychologist saying to me once, there's this thing called ADHD. And remember, we were just talking and researching what everybody was coming out with. So it's a long tip. But anyway, that's accept who you have. Don't have a fantasy of someone else. And there are ways of dealing with it. My son ended up the executive producer of American Chopper. He was a TV producer. And I swear when we went out to watch him one day with everybody online and I think they all have ADHD. How a show gets on TV or how a movie's ever made, I don't have a clue. There's somebody in there that
It's a bunch of ADHD people going, all right, let's get this done.
Let's get it done. Yep.
They're the only ones that can pull it off, maybe.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe.
Yeah. So you have lived experience and you're a psychiatrist and you're behind.
Actually, no, my Ph.D. is in educational counseling.
In educational counseling.
Counseling.
Okay.
And it's the funniest thing is, and I've had a private practice. I did teach third grade 100 years ago as principal of a little small school. But my practice, I'm north of New York City, and my practice just grew and grew and grew and grew. And so I have one-to-one, and now it's online nationwide. Now I'm talking to people all over the country because of Zoom, which is incredible. But so I've been doing this a long time. I did my doctoral dissertation, actually, on the antecedents of self-esteem in children. What creates that feeling of self-worth? And now you have an ADHD kid who everybody and every teacher is yelling, sit down, you're not paying attention. You didn't hand in the homework. You didn't, and they didn't. But it's saying as a parent, instead of looking at the grade, start looking at why. You can't say to a blind child, didn't you see it? Mm-hmm. You can't say to a hearing impaired child, they told you. Well, you have an ADHD child or an ADD child, and the little girls are hard sometimes to diagnose because I call them the flower, hearts, unicorn, rainbow girls. They're always sitting and drawing their ring. I had a little girl once, she answered, I'm going to answer, and every word I'm going to write, I'll do in a rainbow. And so she was sitting with the colored pencils of the yellow and then the blue and then they live kind of there. They're little spaced out a little bit in their own little world, and you don't see them. And everyone's going, why can't they read? Many of them do not have dyslexia. I mean, they can't process what's happening because their mind is some other place. Now, you have to be careful. ADHD diagnosis is the same as high anxiety, is the same as auditory processing disorder. Your child could have any one or all three. You don't know. So I remember one mom came in and she said, I don't know where to turn because the psychiatrist said that she has anxiety, high anxiety. That's what's causing it. And then she said, then I went to the neurologist and she said, no, this is absolutely ADD. Then I went to the speech therapist and they said, this is auditory processing disorder.
Right. And as a mom, you're like, okay, now we've got 3 different things going on. I'm still wondering where to go with all of this.
You can't take a blood test, a throat culture. You can't figure it out. Very hard.
And it's not a quick fix either. It's something that it's a lifelong journey.
No, I'm just going to say that. It's a lifelong journey. My son, after COVID, they stopped creating shows. They couldn't be in the studios together. He opened an ice cream shop.
That's awesome.
Here in New York. And I can't tell you, it is booming. Ice cream, if anyone's listening, they live in Riverdale. It's part of Manhattan, part of New York. He makes these unbelievable videos. You go online and you see icecream.nyc, ice cream Brian, whatever he has. It's hysterical because he's an ADHD, but he's thinking out of the box. People walk in and all of a sudden he'll say, you get 20% off because blah, 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 blah. You're wearing a blue shirt. Today's blue day. He just does these things. And he was producing TV shows. So now he's in that situation. It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
It does. And I'm so glad you said that.
He's just learning how to delight people. I can definitely see that in my kids. Like everybody at school knows him.
Everybody. I used to call him the maitre d' of the lunchroom. The maitre d'. I said he knew everybody. My daughter was 3 years younger, and he's gone. She goes, he's in the lunchroom, 4th period, 5th period, 6th period. She said everyone's telling me they're eating lunch with him. I mean,
When are you doing your schoolwork? Are you going to class?
I remember my daughter, who's got a Ph.D. from Tufts in chemistry. She's a chemistry professor, environmental chemist. They both have the same IQ. Okay, I took both. I took both, and they're identical IQ. Yeah. Totally different because he's got the ADHD. And I remember her English, AP English teacher was going parents' night, and she goes, my God, your daughter's so wonderful. We were talking in the lunchroom about her. She started the paper recycling program for the whole school district. This is back in the 90s. And I said, she said, what did you do? I said, have you met our son? And she said, no, I haven't had the pleasure. And I said, meet our son and find out what we did. It's totally different.
Completely different kids.
Completely different
say the same
kids.
thing. Yeah.
That's it. And the problem with the ADHD kids is punitive usually. The parents are grounding, they're punishing. It's so unfair. It is
so unfair. It's reinforcing that shame.
Oh, that
cycle.
Shame. And they're so fabulous. They're regular people. Just regular people as everyone else, and just accept if they're allergic to broccoli, they can't eat broccoli. They're allergic to peanuts, you can't eat peanuts. This is who they are. And the entire focus of my book, Why Good Kids Get Bad Grades, is because parents usually focus on the grade. Mm-hmm. That's it. Taking away the phone. That's it. You're just lazy. That's it. No, parents are lazy because they're not doing their homework. You have an ADHD kid. Find out why they got the C. Make an appointment with the teachers, with the counselor, anyone. How are you teaching this? Is it coming from notes? Is it coming from a book? Because that kid isn't going to get it. Yep. Your child is not student of the year. They're going to do well outside of school. And it's still going to be a problem because even their time management is off. Mm-hmm. So learn what you have to do, just like you have to get the gluten-free bread for the child who can't eat the gluten. Find out, and you have to work with them. You're the parent.
Now, you've worked with so many different parents in so many different situations, and I'm going to assume that you would agree with me that each child is completely different.
Completely different.
And what they need is different based on their environment, based on their different, the behaviors, everything. So because of that, it's really hard to figure out, still, what do we do? Yes, get help, talk to the teachers. A lot of teachers don't understand that the way they teach maybe only hits a certain amount of kids that will get it. And the other ones are kind of like, well, maybe need more visual or maybe need more one-on-one time. And so from an educational standpoint, if you could create the perfect environment, school environment for an ADHD kid, what would that look like?
Oh, God, I would love that. Okay.
I'm going to use your imagination. Go wild.
Yes. First of all, reduce the number of kids in the class. For the average student, having 25 to 30 kids in a class, it's so hard. It's so hard. There are our country's always saying, we are for education. We are. No, they're not. And everyone's going to go nuts. Why would you have 25 to 30 kids in a class? And I've had parents come in, and I hate to say that sometimes the dads, I did just fine. I did blah, 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 blah,
Sure,
blah.
we hear that a lot, yeah.
Okay. Or they'll say to me, I have ADHD. I have it. I made it. I'm here. But let's not look at you. Look at your child. What is happening now with your child? Get the class down. Get more teachers. Some of those expensive private schools in New York City where they say the kids do so well. Okay, first of all, you have to take a test to get in. Okay, to those schools. So you have a certain group of kids. And not everybody can afford that. Okay, very hard. Public school can't say no to anyone. So when they show private schools, they advertise, our kids score such and such on SATs. I could go nuts with those ads because you're doing the average of the kids in your school.
Right,
Public
who are already vetted before they came in.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Then there's no class without 2 teachers. And they may have 15, 16 in the class. So you need not, I love teacher aides, teacher assistants, they're wonderful. But if you have a kid with ADHD, you have a kid with a disability, with dyslexia, you need professionals to work with those kids. You need people who understand it. And many of the teachers don't. Many of the teachers, unless you've taken courses in it, you really don't understand. And if you don't have a child or someone in your house that you're living with, you really don't understand it. They just don't get it. So my perfect classroom would be lower the grade, lower the number of kids in the class, first of all. Get teachers and aides or assistants that are trained in this, that understand it, that understand. Because I've had too many kids walk in, and one boy who was 17, so severely dyslexic. And he said to me, I today told the teacher that I had dyslexia. She was the one helping me read. And she said, what is wrong with you? You just read that sentence over and over again. And he said, because I can't read it. I don't know it. And he said, that's what she said. And it was crushing.
Yeah. And it's something he will always remember.
Never forget. Never forget. When teachers and parents the same, you can say the most wonderful things to your kids. You say certain things, or you tear up that paper. You say, they will never forget it, especially when a teacher does it.
Yeah.
Never forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we also believe that we can help, there's hope for them to be able to process that and go, what was really going on back then,
Yes. And a wonderful statement to say is when they're so down, you say to them, you know what? Remember that history test? Remember in 4th grade? Or remember? You did so well. So what did you do? Because you did it. You came through.
Mm-hmm.
Build them up instead of saying, that's it, you're grounded. And they usually, he said to me, they go, I don't know. I say to them, well, let's try to figure it out. What was it? What did you do? And let's see if we can follow the same routine.
It's a great reflection, is a really great tool.
Metacognition. Think about what you're thinking about. Think about what you're doing. Stop and think about what's happening at this moment. And stop and say, okay, I was in a situation before. How'd I get out of it? What did I do? Stop and think. And try, and they'll work with you. They'll jump on. And it's a wonderful way of just dealing with anybody. But with ADHD, they get so many negatives.
And to stop, like the word stop for an ADHD brain, stop and think. What? I'm already 10 steps ahead and everybody else is behind.
Yes.
How am I supposed to stop and think?
Stop and think. And the anxiety goes up. And every student that ever came to me above 8 years old, I'd explain to them, and now I'm doing the same online, that you have billions of these neurons in your brain. They're connected by these dendrites. What the research has shown, when you get anxious, that anxiety goes up, and ADHD kids have very high anxiety because they're continuously being criticized. And so I said, when they connect the dendrites and you get anxious, they shrink. And you know that feeling? You go, women, don't talk to me now. I can't figure it out. I can't figure out what to do. And I'm just, it's like being in the middle. I always say Grand Central Station, and someone says, just read this article. What do you think? I go, what? I'm trying to find the train. I'm trying to noise the commotion. What are you talking about?
And there's 10 different ways to go. And I didn't find out that. And the time is running out.
Yes. And you're totally panicked. So the dendrites shrink. You walk into a room and you go, okay, why am I here? And then you just take your time and all of a sudden it'll connect. So one time a little girl was with me, she was 12, and she had ADD, dyslexia, dyscalculia, the poor little thing. And she said, oh, fractions. I think I'm going to break out with a rash. And I said, you could. I don't know. He said, just, wait a minute. You are so anxious right now. I said, she's okay. Give me some time. I'll let my dendrites just connect again. Just give me some time. And I have the kids know what's going on. And she said, I'll take a few deep breaths. Remember who they are. It's the same thing, yelling to the blind child.
So going back to the dyscalculia and dysgraphia, how do you know when it's an ADHD problem? And then how do you know when it's compounded by the dysgraphia, dyslexia? For a parent, what are some things that we could recognize that, like you mentioned, the little girl who was having problems with fractions, and that gave her a lot of anxiety. Same thing for my son. And I see possibility like, well, maybe he does have something else there. But like, what are some things, is there certain subjects at school that trigger this?
It all depends on the child again. Now, you can go to a neuropsychologist and let them assess. It's expensive, and it's good 8 hours of testing, and I don't know if all kids need it. Okay. So I always tell parents, begin with an audiologist. Have them test them and rule out, or it still may be with ADHD, but find out if there's auditory processing disorder. Because that means they hear kind of a little of this, but they don't put it all together. They're the one at the party eventually that go, what's the joke? And everyone else is laughing. And eventually they go, I get it.
They finally put it all together.
I always say it's like individual trees. They don't see the whole forest. They see the trees. An audiologist is going to help. I've worked very closely with psychiatrists where they'll say to me, I believe it, because they don't know either. It's hard to diagnose it. So I've had psychiatrists that I work with, and they'll say, you know what, I'm going to put them on a little bit of medication, and let's see what happens. Okay? And they don't tell me. So when the child comes in, I'll say, oh my God, they were picking up the reading. Because it's not dyslexia sometimes. They can't learn to read because they haven't stayed focused long enough to pick up what the teacher's saying. I had a pediatrician that came to me years ago, and his daughter, he had her tested. The psychologist said she had severe dyslexia. She needed 3 hours, at least a week, of private tutoring and whatever. And I sat there with her, and I'm thinking, this kid is ADD. And the dad came and sat with us. By the time she was leaving, she knew every word. So he's sitting, and he's going, okay, what's going on? And I said, I don't believe she's dyslexia. I said that she never stayed focused long enough to process anything or anything she was doing.
Yeah.
Then he goes, oh my God, I have severe ADD.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too, because parents finding out that they have ADHD when their child gets diagnosed, and being in a family where people have ADD, it's like, well, that's just the way we are. That's how humans are, right? Because this is our little world, and this is how we do things, and the time blindness and the last minute procrastination. We're like, well, that's normal. Every family is like this.
Yes.
But apparently not.
Apparently not. No, they're not. And these kids, as I said, it's punitive. It's usually punitive. The parents don't have it. Usually one of the parents do. Usually somebody in the family, especially in dyslexia, there's usually an uncle or someone else. My brother never read. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Or the dyslexia. I mean, people back in the 1930s, the 1940s, 1950s, and way before that, dropped out of school by 8th grade. Okay, why? Now everybody's in school. And we're saying, well, this, and now we're being diagnosed. Well, maybe this one did that, but now they need that. I believe it's because they all had ADHD. There were so many reasons, so we had no clue. And you just dropped out of school and you were done.
You didn't fit the mold, right? Because school was designed to go into an industrial environment where you're working 9 to 5, right?
It was, and it was based on the Industrial Revolution. It was based on the factory system. That's how they started schools.
And we're still doing schools very similar today as we did back then.
Very similar. The bell rings. Horace Mann started. He said, let's set up just like in a factory. First, they didn't have kindergarten. Grade 1, 6 years old. Grade 2, 7-year-old. Will ring a bell like in a factory. They'll go in high schools, and we used to call junior high schools. We'll do history, separate, just like in a factory, the assembly line. And we'll ring a bell. You go to the next class. It was exactly, they've set it up as the factory system, and we're not there anymore.
Yeah, because there's many kids that fit the definition and the age of a first grader or second grader. But cognitively, they're probably more in kindergarten, or they're maybe in fifth grade on some subjects.
Yes.
It just depends on what the subject is and what they're interested in, and they're going to lean into what they're interested in.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. So tell me about your book and the reason why you decided to write Why Bad Grades Happen to Good Kids.
Okay. That was my first book back in 2007. And that won many, many awards. And a publisher contacted me about 2 years ago and said, I want to take that book and update it. What happened now after the pandemic and with social media? And now every kid has a phone. What has happened? What has changed? But I want to call it Why Good Kids Get Bad Grades. So now our new book on Amazon is Why Good Kids Get Bad Grades. By the way, I just want to let people know I'm giving a course on this book. The month of July, I think it starts July 7th. It's sponsored by Everyone Reading here in Manhattan, and it's for free.
Oh, no. Will it be online?
It'll be online.
Perfect.
It's Tuesday evenings. You can go. It's going to be on my website. We're literally putting it up on the website, I think today. She just told me. Okay, so it's starting in July, 4 weeks, 90 minutes each. It's, as I said, for free. The only thing you'll need the book because I'm following chapters to explain what's happening. And it's Why Good Kids Get Bad Grades, what parents need to know and do. So this will be, go on my website, which is stronglearning.com. The name of the website. It's Strong Learning, like strong, STRONG, learning, one word.com.
Perfect. And we'll make notes in the show notes too and have a blog about it and make sure people know where to get it.
You can do that. And also, I'm going to be talking about, which I mentioned before to you, this book, Burticus.
You were telling me about this. I want you to tell our listeners about this.
Okay, let me tell Burticus. Our son, you see, Brian Silbert, and as I said, he ended up becoming the executive producer of American Chopper, and he did a lot of other shows on TV. And I was running this ice cream store down in the shop down in Riverdale. In 2007, I said to my son, he was in between shows, he was living in LA, and I said, I have all these kids coming in, especially the boys with ADHD, and he had it all through school. And I said, I need something with humor that lets them know they're not alone. So he wrote the absolutely hysterical. It not only won #1 award in so many categories, even the young adult. He came out #1 for young adults who anyone with ADHD or has a child with it can just relate to it. And it's him telling the story. So I'm going to be also talking about this because this is from your child's point of view. Or as an adult, if you have ADHD as an adult and you find out and you read this and you go, oh my God, that was me.
As a child. It seems like the ADHD brain can attach to that book and go, that is me. I see myself in this. And it's a positive, it's a positive environment and it focuses on their strengths.
Yeah. So that's the book I talk about. And then I talk about the terrible twos in this, which it's TOO. I do the terrible twos. The kids are too tired. They're not getting enough sleep. The kids are too over committed. After school, they have, and some of them tell me, I had a mother once call and she say, my son needs tutoring. And she said, but the only time he's available is Friday nights from 6 to 7.
Said everything else is booked.
Every other hour was booked. And I said to her, I own a tutoring service. I'm not going to give you a tutor. The problem is not that you need a tutor. When does he have time to do schoolwork? You need time. He has to relax. When does he have time to go play? When just by himself? When does he have time to be with friends? That's one of the most important parts of life. But brain development. is that just the playing
Play.
teaches you how to act in life. Cooperation, just the support, the disorganization. Who's going to play first base? Who's going to play? So who's going to do? What game should we play? Just instead of being programmed, I said he does not need tutoring. Once you figure out your schedule and he has more time, call me back. And that was because it's just too much, and they're going too fast, too young.
Yeah.
Most children don't read until 6 years old, between 6 and 7. That's when the brain goes from pre-operational make-believe to concrete. Okay, that's suddenly between 6 and 7, that's when identity starts. And all of a sudden they're going to say, I'm taller than you are. I'm sure. Joe, today I'm supposed to sit in that seat today. No, it's not fair. They just have, it's concrete.
The social interaction becomes, like you said, more concrete.
Much more concrete. It is in fantasy. And that's when most children learn to read. So when parents call me, they're 5 years old, and do I do this or do that? I said, wait till they're 6. If they can't rhyme at 5, if at 4, let's say 4 and 5, they're not rhyming. And they don't understand that. That's why Jack and Joe went up the hill and all these old traditional fabulous. The Mother Goose poems and rhymes and nursery rhymes, because that's when the language starts to form, and reading is based on the language part of the brain. It has nothing to do with reading backwards. Nothing. It's the language part of the brain, and so you need to develop that at 2 and 3 from birth. Read to your child, speak. Okay, that the language has to develop. But they can't move into reading, putting a sound to the image. That's all reading is. It's just putting to TH. The dyslexic child can't do it. And they're missing the actual neurons. Okay, so, which is really amazing. Or some of them don't have dyslexia. They simply weren't taught, or they had ADHD, and they were...
they were off in another world when they were learning that.
My husband has ADHD, and we realized that, years and years and years later, has a doctorate in physics, and he said, first grade, I thought my last name was Sit Down. He said, because I was being told all day, sit down. I thought that was my name. They just can't do it. Okay, so now you have to figure out why they're not reading. But most 5-year-olds work on the alphabet, all those pre-reading skills, nursery rhymes, alphabet, and try to work on that. If you see your child struggling and can't pick up the alphabet, if you see, and they're already 5, and they start learning the consonant sounds. D is duh. Okay, and they can rhyme, they're fine. But if you see at 4 or 5, all of a sudden they can't put the sounds together or something, you can start looking into it. And even then, it doesn't. By 7, they just pick it all up.
Yeah, so sometimes you just need more time.
Just developmentally delayed.
And let them make the connections, because they will make the connections eventually.
Eventually, but starting when they're not ready and pushing them, I've signed more things. I say to the parents, absolutely no, they're not doing that. And I said, just blame me. Just keep blaming me. I said, they're not ready. They're going to learn we have to now read. They're going to end up crying, and the anxiety.
I was going to say the anxiety, but we have to do this and we have to do this, and it has to be this way.
This way, just like the teacher said, and the crying and the tears, and and then becomes such an issue. And then it's so negative. And then you have to first cut through that shell they put around themselves, get through that to first teach them.
Yeah. So back to the question about if you could design a classroom that you want, starting in a very smaller classroom.
Teachers who understand, teachers must take courses in this. Most of them do not. Helping kids learn to stop and think, metacognition. Okay. working in that small classroom on social skills, social emotional learning. That is so critical. It's all I've written like, got 100 little stories, and it follows I'd follow Orton Gillingham, this whole method on teaching reading, and I have all these little stories, and everyone deals with social emotional learning just to help the kids learn how to cooperate, how to get along with others, how to be kind. That wasn't a nice thing to say, but let's talk about it. Why? What if someone said that to you?
How does that
you don't
make you
go
feel?
up and punch somebody. You don't.
Yeah.
I have a book called My Own Book of Feelings. We have a whole series that we did back in the 70s. I don't think we sell them anymore. We sold over 1 million copies of My Own Book of Wishes, My Own Book of Feelings. What would happen if? Okay.
That's a good one.
They're all, but that has to be brought into the classroom. I love history. Now, homeschooling does this, which is a very interesting thing. I learned about it because I wrote a book, Bessie's Pillow. It was about my grandmother coming to this country. And that also won awards. And that I just wrote it because my mother wanted it. And she wanted a story about her mother. Bessie's Pillow ended up in homeschooling. And this was this lady arrived in New York City and all around New York. And it's like, what? How did this end up Midwest? I learned that they do history through historical novels. And I love that because even the kids with the Revolutionary War, I always have them read My Brother Sam is Dead because it takes place right here on the East Coast. And it's a story talking about exactly what happened in a family during the Revolutionary War. I love that type of thing because the child can relate.
Right. It puts them in the story.
Yes.
And then everything comes to life.
Because most ads are put together so that the person will sit and look at that ad and picture themselves there. That's the whole thing of advertising. It's that you want to see yourself there.
Yeah.
Okay, you visualize. And school, the kids are just sitting there going from subject to subject. I teach the kids punctuation by reading. We're reading Burticus together. And I go, oh, there's quotation marks. So how did they do that? There's the comma. That's what he said. Okay. Just have them, if that was the perfect little school, have them live it. Have them be part of it.
Have them live it.
Have them math, recipes, have them cook with you. We have double people, so we have to double the recipe. We have to cut it in half. We have to add this. We have to
it's math. It's home economics. It's learning meal planning and cooking because you're going to be doing that the rest of your life.
Yes, yes. And it's walking away from that factory system. So that would be the ideal place.
It sounds wonderful. I would love to send my kids there.
I wish I could do that.
I know my husband and I were talking about history the other day, and he does a lot of sound, like installing sound and visual stuff. We're like, wouldn't it be cool if we could like bring in this projection and like you're in the middle of World War II and you just, everything is happening around you and you see, hopefully not that graphic, but just understand, the story that's going on and just immersive. I think that's the word I'm looking for.
Yep, that's it. That's
immersive.
It's just wonderful. I love that part. The historical fictions are just wonderful to use.
I do too. That's great. Yeah. Well, Dr. Linda, I appreciate you. I could probably go on for a very long time. You just have a wealth of knowledge, and I love that you have raised your own ADHD child, and he's doing amazing, and you've had years of experience, and you work with children, and so your knowledge is just, it's so helpful, and I hope that someone will pick up your book, dive into your work. You have lots of good resources. And where can people find you? Okay. Go to stronglearning.com, and there's my website. Or just put in Dr. Linda Silbert. And I have these people setting up about the course and about the new book as I like all over the place. I don't know how to get onto it. I'm not good at any of that. You can outsource that part. Yeah, that I am not savvy in anything with all those different things. Yeah. But I know I'm just Linda Silbert
I did put in, and
Yep.
you'll
And we'll
find
make
me.
links there too so people can connect with you and just keep up and see what you're doing. So I'll definitely link to that too on our website and in the show notes. Thanks so much for spending time with us today on Quick Wins for ADHD Moms. Take one thing from this episode, one small quick win, and design something that maybe works for you this week. That's the idea behind this whole show, is embracing small shifts built for the way your brain is actually working. You can also check out our dopamine hit list, or a list of healthy dopamine hits for your ADHD brain. Just simple things you maybe didn't even know were a dopamine hit. You can get it for free right now at theadhdmom.com/dopamine. That's theadhdmom.com/dopamine. Have a beautiful week, and I'll see you next time. Keep designing.